Welcome to this Universal News Frontier Explainer. Today, we are looking way past the surface level celebrity glitz of the 2026 Met Gala to uncover something massive. We are unpacking a multi-billion-dollar collision of fine art, unprecedented global marketing, and, frankly, intense socioeconomic controversy. I mean, why did Beyoncé wear a diamond skeleton? And why did the Met Museum permanently move its most famous galleries just as protests erupted right outside? Well, we're going to break the whole thing down. $3.5 billion. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the estimated organic advertising value this single event generated across the web and television in just 30 days. The 2026 Met Gala permanently proved that this is no longer just a red carpet event. It's a massive, highly calibrated cultural and financial machine.
But, that machine was operating under some extreme tension this year. Talk about a split screen. Inside the museum, you have Lauren Sanchez Bezos arriving in a highly provocative custom Madame X gown, which historically symbolizes the ultimate see and be seen socialite. But meanwhile, directly outside the doors, activists from the Everyone Hates Elon and Rise and Resist movements were staging a literal resistance red carpet, chanting "Tax the Rich." To really understand this incredible juxtaposition, we have to look at what the Met was actually trying to achieve inside those walls.
Section 1. The new high art, moving fashion to the center of the museum. What's genuinely surprising here is the permanent shift for the institution of art itself. The 2026 Gala wasn't just a big party. It actually marked the grand opening of the new 12,000 square foot Condé M. Nast galleries. This state-of-the-art space reclaims former retail areas right next to the museum's Great Hall. So fashion is no longer relegated to a downstairs niche, right? It's been permanently elevated to the exact same intellectual and architectural priority as painting and sculpture. It's a huge shift. And the curator in charge, Andrew Bolton, really anchored this whole concept. He completely tossed out the standard chronological timeline for the costume art exhibition. Instead, he anchored the entire thing on this idea of materiality. By abandoning those old timeline rules, the exhibition gets to focus entirely on the human body as the ultimate canvas, the real connective tissue linking all of human civilization. Section 2. Redefining the human body, breaking historical tropes. Because here is what you might have missed if you only scrolled through the red carpet looks. These weren't just dresses, they were profound explorations of biology. The exhibition's thematic structure is absolutely radical. It deliberately reclaims body types that traditional art history has historically ignored, or worse, just stereotyped. They broke it down into categories like the pregnant body, the corpulent body, the naked body, and the anatomical body. Placing Michaela Stark's corsetry right alongside ancient marble statuettes, it completely fights the old trope that larger bodies only represent fertility. It's a total reclamation of the human form. Just look at Beyoncé's triumphant return as co-chair. After a 10-year hiatus, she shows up in this mind-blowing custom Olivia Rousteing creation that was a literal manifestation of the anatomical body. I mean, it featured a crystal-encrusted skeletal frame and bejeweled hand bones. It actually took 5 people just to carry the train. This skeleton gown brilliantly argued that our biological, anatomical reality is the most fundamental art form we have. Now, it wasn't just about static anatomy. Tiana Taylor delivered an absolute masterclass in what she called movement as art. She wore this incredible, mysterious hooded silver fringe gown by Hayder Ackerman, and it literally physically shifted and melted with every single step she took up the stairs. It beautifully proved that fashion isn't just a static object on a mannequin. It requires the kinetic energy of a living human body to actually be complete. Section 3. The K-pop luxury takeover. Global capital meets avant-garde. If we want to talk about who actually holds global cultural power right now, look no further than Blackpink. All 4 members of the K-pop supergroup attended, and honestly, they dominated the entire global narrative. Jennie, Jisoo, and Rosé flawlessly aligned with legacy luxury houses like Chanel, Dior, and Saint Laurent. They perfectly executed the whole fashion is art mandate by leaning into impressionist and romantic themes. But Lisa, she made history as the first K-pop artist on the host committee, and she gave us this wild third arm phenomenon. Working with avant-garde designer Robert One, she wore these 3D printed sculptural arms that were modeled directly from scans of her own body. It created this massive viral optical illusion, just absolute conceptual genius, bridging the gap between her actual biological anatomy and the technological artifice of the garment. Section 4, Protests and the Wealth Gap, the Politics of Philanthropy. Now, outside that bubble of high couture, the reality was starkly different. The event's lead sponsorship by Jeff and Lauren Sanchez Bezos was a massive flashpoint. Activist groups staged a resistance red carpet just blocks away, targeting tech billionaires and focusing heavily on Amazon's corporate and labor practices. The event became such a symbol of the extreme wealth gap in New York that Mayor Zohan Mamdani actively boycotted it, stating he needed to maintain his focus on urban affordability instead. And this is exactly why the styling choices inside the gala were so heavily analyzed. Lauren Sanchez Bezos wore a custom Schiaparelli gown that was a direct, scandalous homage to John Singer Sargent's infamous 1884 painting, Madame X. That original painting was super controversial for its portrayal of a woman in a high society, see and be seen world. So by choosing to recreate it, complete with the famously slipped strap, it was a highly calculated act of self-referential styling happening right in the middle of a socioeconomic firestorm.
Meanwhile, the activists outside were incredibly specific with their messaging. They carried signs arguing the gala was basically a tool for the laundering of oligarchs' reputations. It really highlights the profound tension of the night, right? The museum is acting as a site for the highest elevation of fine art, but simultaneously, it's a highly scrutinized arena for corporate philanthropy.
Section 5, the billion-dollar bottom line, commercial ripple effects. Let's look at the hard numbers. In 2025, the Costume Institute raised $31 million, but in 2026, a staggering, record-breaking $42 million. This massive surge was undeniably driven in large part by that controversial Bezos family sponsorship we just talked about. It completely proves the sheer financial gravity that these specific hosts bring to the institution. And the digital footprint totally backs up that leap. We're talking over 315,000 social media mentions generated by the event and its attendees in just a 30-day window. This is the exact engine behind that $3.5 billion advertising value we mentioned at the start of the explainer. So, this is exactly why these legacy luxury brands are ripping up their old playbooks. They aren't just tapping K-pop stars for regional reach in Asia anymore. They are treating figures like Lisa as global cultural assets. They are the ultimate bridge, connecting traditional, elite institutional prestige directly to hyper-engaged, digital-first audiences all around the globe. So what's the big takeaway for us here? It's that the dressed body is literally the final frontier. This whole event proves that clothing is so much more than just fabric. By moving fashion to the physical center of the museum, the Met basically acknowledged that what we wear is our primary medium for performing our history, constructing our identities, and negotiating power in the modern world. We are seeing this incredible, beautiful merging of technology, biology, and couture. But when you think about those stark socioeconomic protests happening right outside the museum doors, it leaves us with one massive question. Who truly gets to define and ultimately afford the art of the human body? Thanks so much for joining me on this Universal News Frontier Explainer. I really hope it changed how you look at the clothes we wear every day.
An investment in knowledge pays the best interest, so why not invest in this channel? Click like and subscribe for more.